Hello everyone, Weather Jamaica here. Welcome to this updated video on the weather across Jamaica and the rest of the Caribbean. It is Wednesday evening, July 24, 2024. Now before we jump into it, please ensure that you guys like the video. I'd really appreciate it if you guys get this video up to 100 likes. If you don't know by now, that's how the YouTube algorithm works. We all like the video and then the YouTube algorithm pushes the video out to more persons who are in the path of these tropical systems so we can keep everyone safe, especially during the peak of Atlantic hurricane season, that's August through to October. Share this video with your friends, your co-workers, your relatives, and even your church brethren, and subscribe if you haven't yet done so. Leave a comment down below letting me know what that's been like in your year recently. Also feel free to ask any weather related question that you might have about the future of weather in your specific area. Alright, so before we even start talking about the Atlantic where we live, we need to give you an update on what's happening across the Western Pacific with Typhoon Gaemi. For reference, we can see Japan right here as the sun is starting to come up over the Western Pacific. You know, when the sun is going down in our neck of the woods, it's coming up across this side of the world, and we can see the line associated with that pushing from right to left. We can see Taiwan right here and the Philippines right here to the south, China right here. So if we actually take a closer look that is, at what took place today, we saw that Typhoon Gaemi definitely made landfall in Taiwan today, and they're still being hammered with a lot of shower and thunderstorm activity. We can see all the high cold cloud tops as represented by the blues, greens, yellows, oranges, reds, blacks, whites, grays, pinks. They're definitely getting nailed as we speak, and we need to highlight something very interesting that took place today that many persons didn't even know was a thing. Today, look at what Typhoon Gaemi did. It actually made a loop. When you take a look at the Doppler radar images, it actually made a loop closer to the island's east coast. So it dipped southward, which is center, and then it looped around and then pushed into the northern portions of the island. And that is what is referred to as terrain-induced tropical cyclone looping. So that is the term for the day. It states here that this refers to the phenomena where a tropical cyclone's path is significantly altered, often causing it to loop or change direction due to the interaction with mountainous or varied terrain. And we know that Taiwan is a very mountainous country. We can see that most of the mountains are along the east coast of the island, stretching from north to south, and these mountains are very high. If you see these brownish colors, even some white within there, we know those are some very tall mountains. And with these hurricanes, we know that they can definitely be disrupted by these tall mountains, the circulation, and that was causing the loop that took place today. It was very interesting because persons were like, wait, why is this thing moving southward and brushing along the coastline? But that was exactly what's happening. By the way, just for reference, this is the terrain across Taiwan, this is the terrain across Jamaica. We can see that we have the highest terrain across the eastern portion of the island, where we have the Blue Mountains, southern Portland, northeastern St. Andrew, northern St. Thomas. So these mountains are not as tall as those mountains in Taiwan, but they can definitely do something for us. Even in Beryl, when persons in Portland and St. Mary were getting nailed by the system, persons in Kingston, Portmore were wondering what's going on, is there a storm coming? And that's because the Blue Mountains were definitely blocking a lot of the activity from coming this way. So it wasn't that the storm wasn't here yet, but the Blue Mountains were definitely doing something about the effects that were being experienced across the southern portions of the island. Either way, this is exactly what took place regarding Gaemi today. We saw that there have been other systems in the past that have made similar loops because of the terrain in Taiwan. We have Shirley in 1960, Mary 1965, Sarah in 1989, Polly in 1992, Hai Tang in 2005, Crosa in 2007, Sinlaku in 2008. I'm not sure if there's been any other system that did something similar, but the mere fact that so many persons were surprised today to see this kind of a track that Gaemi did coming in from the southeast or from the east, and then as soon as it's getting ready to come inland across Taiwan, it made a loop the loop. So that was quite interesting because persons were wondering if those meteorologists would have been in big trouble because no one saw this dip to the south coming, but it was a loop and it actually made its way back on the same track after the loop. As we can see here, the system is right now between Taiwan and China. It's definitely going to be pushing northwestward to affect China. So if you have relatives or friends in China, please ensure that you contact them, tell them to stay safe, tell them not to drive through flooded roadways if they're driving. You know how bad these situations can be. Either way, if we take a look at the latest Doppler radar images of the typhoon, no, it couldn't be a super typhoon after making landfall. So we know super typhoons are basically major hurricanes, and we can definitely see what it did today. Look at the Doppler radar images that show the blues and greens that represent light to moderate rainfall, the yellows, oranges, and reds that represent heavy rainfall. And even although this system's center is right now between China, as of this image, that's what, 30 minutes past the hour, so I guess it's 7:30 a.m. there, we can still see that there's still a lot of heavy rainfall taking place across Taiwan as of this latest image. So it's 7:30 there. So this image just came out 14 minutes ago, 7:30 a.m. there. So there's still a lot of very heavy rainfall taking place across Taiwan, and there is a lot more to come. Look at that batch of red right there at the southern portion of the island. And if we take a look at the supercomputer model right here, showing all the rainfall that's expected from now up until 10 p.m. on Thursday, considering that it's Thursday there now, look at this. There is still a lot more rainfall to come. Look at the reds, look at the purples, look at the pinks and blues that represent all the way up to 25 inches of rainfall still to come to affect section of Taiwan. Is going to be a very, very bad situation. And there's even some news coming out of the Philippines to the south of there that there has already been some amount of flooding. So if they didn't get the brunt of the system and Taiwan is about to get nailed, we can imagine the destruction or the, God forbid, the loss of life that's going to be coming out of Taiwan. As a matter of fact, if you'd like to see updates about what's exactly happening over there, you can go on Volcaholic's Twitter page. We follow each other. They actually post a lot regarding these systems affecting specific countries, and they have it right here. Super Typhoon Gaemi showing its force in Hualien, if I'm not butchering that name, in Taiwan. And look at the strong wind and heavy rainfall today associated with that typhoon in Taiwan today. Wow, it's strange to see that vehicle moving about in such strong winds and heavy rainfall, things being blown away as well. And not only that, they even posted about what's happening in the Philippines. Let's see a video right here. It looked as if I saw some persons washing away, but hopefully it's nothing serious either way. We saw them right there rolling down in the water, and then by the end of the clip they were being helped up right there in this very fast running water. Look at that. This is just ridiculous, and this took place in the Philippines to the south of where Gaemi hit. There was even a video right here stating a resident in Marikina City, Philippines, posted a video on Wednesday showing a dog struggling to reach a safer area through the floodwaters, and we can see the video right here showing the dog stranded in the floodwaters. Oh, it's just a sad situation. Hopefully the dog made it out alright. Even another video right here showing the area underwater. The bus can definitely handle water, but look at the car. Most of these persons, they don't realize that their vehicles cannot handle the situation. First, the water is not going to look that high, but it's going to be entering the part of your car engine that causes it to shut off, and then it starts to float or starts to be washed away. And that's one of the leading causes of death when it comes to flooding in most areas. So turn around, don't drown is not just a saying, it is very factual if you want to live. So the best thing you can ever do when it comes to these flooding situations, always wait for the rain to cool down. Wait for the water to recede. It's going to recede. It has to go somewhere. Not going to stay there forever. Go somewhere. Go chill. Don't just go through it because you're that anxious to get to where you're going. Chill where you see that the water is not flooded, and then as soon as everything has receded, you can continue to traverse to where you're going. Either way, Yahoo News has confirmed this morning when I checked, it was 13 people, but now they've confirmed that 16 persons have been killed because of this super typhoon. So we know these systems are very serious, and we know that all of these conditions from the Western Pacific are going to be entering the Atlantic very soon as we head into the peak of Atlantic hurricane season. That's August through to October. So please ensure that you all stay safe. If we switch gears now and start talking about the Atlantic, we can see here that we're looking at all of these red dots. All of these red dots are showing where we've had tropical storms form, and this is as of records from 1950 to about 2009. So it's not encompassing anything from 2010 to 2023. But we do see that during this time period from July 21 to July 31, we've had systems forming in the southwestern Atlantic, in the Caribbean, in the main development region. And considering that today is the 24th of July, it makes sense to show this. They're going to be showing the first 10 days of August soon. Either way, the typical July tracks coming from the Eastern Caribbean, through the Caribbean, then through the channel right there between the Yucatan Peninsula and Cuba, heading into the Gulf of Mexico, and sometimes they can even curve before getting into the Greater Antilles and affecting portions of the Bahamas, Turks and Caicos, and the eastern United States. But these are the typical tracks for July. Either way, right now July is dead. Hopefully it stays that way in August, September, and October, but we know as soon as the Saharan dust and all of the sinking air is over, it's only a matter of time before all of the air rises and these thunderstorms form. And we're going to be having activity in August, September, and October, like what most of these models are sniffing out, that has a lot of persons talking, because we're seeing development coming. And that's because of the very warm waters across the Atlantic. This map just came out on July 23, as you can see right here, and it still shows the very warm Atlantic main development region, Caribbean, with all these orange and yellow colors that represent way above normal sea surface temperatures, and the neutral conditions slowly making its way to La Nina conditions across the eastern to central Pacific. We know all of that has to do with bringing more in the way of bad weather across the Atlantic in general. We know the El Nino was a good thing for us when we had the warming of the eastern to central Pacific. So that would contribute to more thunderstorms across this region of the world, thus causing a lot of wind shear across our region of the world. And we know wind shear tears off the tops of thunderstorms, but with the lack of El Nino, we've already seen what Beryl did, the lack of wind shear, and with it expected to become a La Nina, it's even more gonna be that vigorous for us across the Atlantic. The Pacific, especially the Eastern Pacific, is gonna be shut down. As a matter of fact, I think they've had their second storm today, and usually the Eastern Pacific is ahead of us, and they're just at their B-name storm so far. So we'll see exactly what unfolds. Either way, we know that these are sea surface temperatures. This has to do with the warm waters at the surface or at the skin of the ocean. And we know sometimes these hurricanes can cause the skin of the ocean to cool off a bit, but the heat potential deeper into the ocean is robust as well. Look at this map that shows how warm the waters are the deeper we go, and we see the warmest waters right there in the reds, especially around Haiti, the Cayman Islands, south of Cuba, east of the Yucatan Peninsula, and around Jamaica. This is just ridiculous, and this just came out today, July 24. So even if these systems move slowly, stall out over an area, they're not gonna be just working with the skin of the ocean, the sea surface temperatures, but they're gonna be working with the very warm waters the deeper we go into the ocean. And we don't want any systems to be stalling out across the Greater Antilles or the Western Caribbean at all, because they're just going to be strengthening and feeding off of the very warm waters in general. Hopefully there's some wind shear to do something about their development. That's if they're actually there. Either way, although there's a lot of talk about what's expected, as a matter of fact, let's highlight what they're talking about first before we even look at the Hurricane Center 70 graphical tropical weather outlook. Because even Eric Webb finally made a post. I haven't seen him make a post in a long while about the tropics, but he made a post. He stated here, by the way, Eric Webb is a meteorologist, and from time to time he makes posts about the Atlantic hurricane season that are very accurate. So if you have Twitter, please ensure that you follow him at Weber Weather. He states here, we'll have to keep a close eye on a tropical wave emerging from the west coast of Africa the next few days. While development, if any, of this wave will be inherently slow due to its large, broad nature, the environment is generally conducive for at least some slow tropical development next week. This wave's unusually large moisture bubble, much lighter than average wind shear, and record high sea surface temperatures in the east central MDR are all working in its favor. Interests in and around the Antilles and greater Southwest Atlantic should keep an eye on this system over the coming week or so. So he's definitely talking about this tropical wave. Look at the thunderstorms associated with it coming off of the coast of Africa. Blues, greens, yellows, oranges, reds, blacks, grays, whites, pinks. This is a tropical wave if you haven't seen one, and it's definitely pushing westward. Could be over the Cabo Verde Islands to affect them with some rainfall, and it's definitely going to be making it here for some slow development across portions of the eastern Caribbean or the southwestern Atlantic. And there is still a lot of talk about where it could develop. Could it develop maybe here near Puerto Rico, Haiti, the Dominican Republic, Jamaica, Cuba, or the higher chances here in the blue across the Bahamas or the Turks and Caicos, possibly pushing westward into the Gulf of Mexico, or God forbid Florida, where so many people, especially Jamaicans, live. There's been a lot of talk about this system, and we see Dylan Federico here, another meteorologist that you should follow, highlighting this area. So it's going to be interesting to see exactly what unfolds. As of right now, the Hurricane Center still has nothing highlighted, but we know it's only a matter of time. If not 1 a.m. tonight, maybe 7 a.m. tomorrow, if not on a Friday, they're going to highlight something. They're gonna put a code yellow somewhere between Africa and this area right here. I'm calling it from now. It's only a matter of time. We just have to wait and see exactly what unfolds. Either way, if we get something, we know our next name on the list is Debbie, followed by Ernesto. We're already done with Chris, that hit into portions of Mexico. We're already done with Beryl, that crossed the Caribbean into Texas. And we're already done with Alberto, that affected portions of Mexico and Texas. Alright, so let us take a look at the surface map of the Atlantic for this evening. We can see that we still have the ridges of high pressure that are responsible for sending all of the easterly trade winds across the main development region into the Caribbean. And we can see numerous troughs, one right here to the north of Hispaniola, one right here to the northeast of the Caribbean, one right here still affecting portions of Florida. And we can also see a tropical wave right here to the east of the Caribbean, and another tropical wave right here across the waters of the main development region. If we take a look at the visible satellite images of the Atlantic before the sun went down, we can still see that portion of the southern and eastern United States still being plagued by some shower and thunderstorm activity associated with a front. We can also see clouds associated with a trough right here across the Bahamas, another trough right here across portions of the waters to the south of Puerto Rico, tropical wave right here to the east of the Caribbean. And we can also see that tropical wave that has a lot of persons talking right here coming off of Africa. Numerous clouds right here squashed to the south associated with the intertropical convergence zone, where we know the air from the northern hemisphere meets the air from the southern hemisphere, and then we have all of the air rising and forming cloud showers and thunderstorms. So don't worry about the intertropical convergence zone when you see it at all, especially during this time period where there's a lot of sinking air. But we do see that we have a lot of low-level clouds pushing from east to west associated with the trough. Some of these clouds could definitely make it across portions of Jamaica on a Thursday. We can also see some clouds piling up right here across portions of Central America, Eastern Honduras, Nicaragua, Costa Rica getting nailed as we speak. But we're going to be talking more about the rest of the Caribbean later on. Let us focus our attention on the prediction that was made in yesterday's video about the weather across Jamaica for today, Wednesday, July 24. It was stated that parts of eastern Jamaica would have received some morning rainfall, and then sections of western Jamaica would have received some afternoon rainfall. And just for reference, we know eastern parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Surrey, so Portland, St. Thomas, Kingston, St. Andrew. While western parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Cornwall, so Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, Westmoreland, St. Elizabeth as well. And what ended up happening? As early as 6:20 a.m., the Cuban Doppler radar images were posted on our Twitter page at Weather Jamaica. Keep in mind that these posts aren't only made here on our Twitter page, but they're also made on our Instagram page at weather.jamaica, on our TikTok page at Weather Jamaica, on our Facebook page at Weather Jamaica 876. So if you have one of those social media platforms, please ensure that you follow us there, as we make posts throughout the day that you can't afford to miss. So the 6:20 images were posted, and they showed the greens and the yellows represent some light to moderate to even heavy rainfall affecting sections of some northern parishes. So anywhere from St. James eastward, Trelawney, St. Anne, St. Mary definitely got in on some isolated rainfall, and that was more along northern Jamaica than eastern Jamaica. So the eastern parishes thing didn't quite verify, even although the models were forecasting it, just to show you that the models aren't 100% set in stone. Sometimes they're right, sometimes they're wrong. Either way, northern Jamaica got most of the rainfall. When the northern parishes, we're talking about those parishes on top. So Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, St. Anne, St. Mary, Portland. And we even have some of our followers on our Instagram page confirming the rainfall in their area. We had Dalmain_, posting 11 hours ago, stating, was raining in St. Mary, Boscobel. We still have dark skies. And Rajish, if I'm not butchering your name, Thomas, stating, St. Anne, light showers earlier in Ocho Rios. So that indeed confirms the morning rainfall that we saw on the Doppler radar images, rather than the rainfall that was predicted for eastern Jamaica. But eastern Jamaica might have gotten on some rainfall, but it just wasn't mentioned or highlighted. Either way, the accumulated precipitation from the Caribbean Institute for Meteorology and Hydrology for the past 24 hours, it shows where we indeed had rainfall today, as a matter of fact. By the way, before we even get there, we need to highlight what happened in the afternoon, because that was definitely verified. The visible satellite images were posted at 2:45 p.m. and they highlighted the clouds and the showers and thunderstorm activity. You know, the sparkling yellow dots represent some amount of lightning strikes, if not lightning flashes, and we definitely had some thunderstorm activity taking place across western Jamaica, just as predicted. So we definitely had that rainfall over there. Sections of northwest St. Elizabeth, sections of Westmoreland, Hanover definitely got in on some thunderstorms. We even saw some isolated thunderstorms across sections of northwestern St. Catherine, northern Clarendon as well. And even as the day progressed, we saw what took place with the infrared satellite images. Definitely saw the thunderstorm activity across sections of western Jamaica and even inland areas of some central parishes as well. So it makes sense that the accumulated precipitation from the Caribbean Institute for Meteorology and Hydrology shows where we indeed had that rainfall, northern Jamaica more so in the morning, and central and western Jamaica, especially western Jamaica during the afternoon, more so inland areas of some central parishes than anything else. And it's interesting that the map actually picked up the rainfall across eastern Jamaica, even although I didn't quite see it at the time. Maybe I was busy at the time, who knows. Either way, if we take a look at the crossroads cam from See Jamaica's YouTube channel, if you don't know by now, we have a partnership with this channel where they show live streams of the corporate area from Kingston Crossroad, Halfway Tree, the Kingston Harbor, even the Bogwalk Gorge, and they show it 24/7 on YouTube. So visit See Jamaica's YouTube channel if you'd like to see more images like these. We can see that as of 1:21 p.m. there wasn't much to see. Definitely more so in the way of sunny, if not partly cloudy skies across the corporate area. Not much in the way of a rainfall today at all. And if we take a look at the visible satellite images of Jamaica before the sun went down, we can definitely see what took place. The low level flow of clouds definitely pushed across the island. Then during the afternoon we had the daytime heating, the diurnal convection, those low level clouds, and they moved from eastern Jamaica to the western portion of the island. They actually got some strength in them, becoming mid-level rain clouds, if not upper-level cumulonimbus thunderstorm clouds. And that's what usually happens, especially those persons who are asking, why is it always raining out west? This is what's happening. And trust me, if the roles were reversed and we were having more of the winds coming in from the west, we would get the afternoon thunderstorms across eastern Jamaica. But that's not how it works at all, especially the ridge of high pressure that's sending everything from east to west. But I remember a time in 2007, considering that I live in St. Thomas, where the flow was from the west, the low level flow was from the west, and trust me, every single afternoon I remember receiving a rainfall during October 2007. So it's not impossible, we just have to have the right weather conditions for these things to happen. But as of right now, normal weather conditions with the flow from the east, usual afternoon thunderstorms, and we definitely saw the thunderstorm activity that took place across sections of St. Elizabeth as well. Look at these sparkling white dots that we know represent some amount of lightning strikes, if not lightning flashes. Definitely large sections of Black River as well, maybe Santa Cruz getting in on the mix. And we saw the high cold cloud tops being blown off towards the east, more so towards the east northeast, just to show you where the upper level wind shear is at. So that definitely brought some overcast skies, a section of some northern parishes in Jamaica. But if we take a look at the latest Cuban Doppler radar images, we don't see much taking place across Jamaica right now. This map is as of 8 p.m. Jamaica time. By the way, you know we have to be using the Cuban Doppler radar because the Jamaican Doppler radar has been out for quite some time. I was told that it should be fixed this month by Evan Thompson. I spoke to him a good 6 weeks ago, if not 2 months ago, and he mentioned that it should be fixed by July. So hopefully I don't have to be calling him back in August to find out what's happening. Either way, we can see that there's not much happening across Jamaica right now. Just a few isolated shores right there off to the west of the island. Some isolated shores right there off to the east of the island as well, between Haiti and Jamaica. If we take a look at what's happening right now on See Jamaica's YouTube channel, the live view, the city view right there, we can see a nice little sunset right there. The lights across portions of Kingston, New Kingston right there. Nothing to see in terms of bad weather, no cloud cover, no rainfall at all. This is as of 7:06 p.m. and we see the time right now. Definitely matching, no delay at all. See Jamaica's YouTube channel is right there for your viewing. If we take a look at the temperatures right now, we can see we have 28 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 29 degrees Celsius in Kingston. And by about 4 a.m. on Thursday, temperature should dip down to about 26 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 25 degrees Celsius in Kingston. Taking a look at the temperature forecast for tomorrow, this map from the GFS is showing 18Z on Thursday, which is actually 1 p.m. on Thursday. And we can see Jamaica right here, embedded in some grays and some slight yellow colors. That represents average to at least 1 degree Celsius above normal temperatures. I know the normal temperatures or the average temperatures for the month of July across Jamaica are about 91 degrees Fahrenheit. 91 degrees Fahrenheit is about the same as 32.7 degrees Celsius when calculated. So we should be receiving anywhere from 32 to 33 degrees Celsius at most for Jamaica's temperature on Thursday. As it relates to the Saharan dust forecast for 2 p.m. on Thursday, we can see this vigorous plume right here that's already affecting portions of the Eastern Caribbean. You know, these dark shades of browns represents the plume that can cause very hazy skies, so the sky won't be looking as blue. Not to mention causing persons to have some respiratory illnesses, whether it's asthma, sinusitis, whatever the case may be. Please ensure that you have your meds ready, because we know all of this is pushing from east to west. And although Jamaica is right here, not experiencing much of that for 2 p.m. on Thursday, it's going to eventually get here. So please ensure that you have your meds handy just in case. As it relates to the wave forecast for tomorrow, we still see much of the same. Most of the Caribbean experiencing those light shades of blues to darker shades of blues that represent anywhere from 0.5 meter wave height to 1.5 meter wave height, while we're starting to see a bit of an increase in the wave height to the east of the Caribbean right there. So anywhere to the east of the Leeward and Windward Islands, we start to see some purples that represents up to 2 to 3 meter wave heights. And as usual, we still have the 2 to 3 meter wave heights right there to the south of Jamaica, to the south of Haiti. And that's because the winds are going to be strongest right there to the south of us, where we see these yellows that represent anywhere from 25 to 30 knots, while the rest of the basin getting in on anywhere from 10 to 20 knots. And we even see a mixture of the yellows right there across the Eastern Caribbean, which explains the high wave height. But as it relates to the rainfall forecast, well, not the rainfall forecast, the wind forecast, in terms of the close-up of Jamaica, yes, the easterly flow still expected across the island tomorrow, but we can still see that the air is going to be piling up still across sections of some central and western parishes. So wherever we have the least amount of wind, that's where we're going to be having the air piling up again. So definitely a section of central and western Jamaica could be getting in on those cumulus clouds, becoming mid-level rain clouds, if not upper level cumulonimbus clouds. So definitely some afternoon daytime heating convection for sections of central and western Jamaica again. And whatever comes off of the sea from the east, definitely going to be coming into portion of St. Thomas and Portland, maybe even spilling into section of St. Mary, maybe section of Kingston and St. Andrew. Don't hang your hat on that, because we know how these things go. Sometimes these rainfalls might brush the coast, the north coast right there, or even brush the south coast, maybe Clarendon. We'll see exactly what unfolds tomorrow. Either way, in terms of the upper level winds, we're still expected to receive these winds from the west. So something similar to what happened today when the thunderstorms took place across the island. We saw the upper level winds pushing the high cold cloud tops off towards the east northeast. So it could favor some overcast skies across sections of some central, if not some eastern parishes in Jamaica. So no specific side of the island getting the brunt of anything tomorrow at all. But more than likely southern Jamaica going to be getting in on the rainfall even more so. Either way, in terms of the rainfall forecast, the 1 hour totals, this is what's going to happen around 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is actually 8 a.m. Jamaica time. And we see that both the Euro and the GFS models are in consensus that we're going to be having some blues represent rainfall, affecting sections of St. Thomas, Portland, maybe affecting sections of maybe Eastern St. Andrew, maybe even spilling into sections of St. Mary right there. The Euro clearly a bit more robust than the GFS, but we do see the consensus that there's going to be some amount of rainfall in the east tomorrow. And if we take a look at the forecast for the afternoon, look at this. This is valid for 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is actually 1 p.m. Jamaica time, and we start to see the blues represent rainfall across eastern, central, and western parishes in Jamaica. Definitely interesting to see some rainfall definitely in store for a portion of the island, because both rainfall forecast maps are in consensus that there's gonna be rainfall, and we even see some dark blues in there, even some greens. So the chances of rainfall actually taking place somewhere in Jamaica tomorrow definitely high, especially across northern Jamaica. Look at that, even up there in Hanover, St. James being shaded, section of St. Anne, southern St. Mary, northern St. Catherine, And even by around 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is actually 3 p.m. Jamaica time, we still see much of the same. The blues that represent rainfall across eastern, central, and western Jamaica on both the Euro and the GFS models. And we also see that the accumulated precipitation forecast maps are in consensus with the forecast. Eastern, central, and western Jamaica, that's where we see the yellows and the oranges that represent up to what? Anywhere from 0.3 of an inch of rainfall all the way up to 0.75 of an inch of rainfall. Keep in mind that both of these maps are showing all the rainfall that's expected from now up until 10 p.m. on Thursday. Not saying that's going to be raining from now all the way up until then, but these are the areas that are going to be picking up the most in the way of rainfall within the next 24-hour period. And we see that especially eastern Jamaica is going to be feeling the brunt of the rainfall. Even some reds in there that represents close to an inch of rainfall across those spots. We see that both the Euro and the GFS models are in consensus with that, and we're indeed grateful for that. We're in the month of July. July right here on the Montego Bay and Kingston bar graph shows that we usually have less rainfall compared to the months surrounding us. And we can see Kingston's bar graph at the top showing up to 50 millimeters of rainfall experienced are on average during July. Montego Bay's rainfall map showing up to 3.1 inches of rainfall. You can do the math yourself, considering that 1 inch of rainfall represents up to 25 millimeters of rainfall. And you can also visit weatherandclimate.com if you'd like to see what the annual rainfall is like for your specific parish. Either way, we'll take the rainfall. We need to have a cool down with these temperatures. Alright, so that is it for the forecast across Jamaica. Let us focus our attention on the rest of the Caribbean. So as stated, we have clouds doing a number on portions of Central America. Honduras, Nicaragua, Costa Rica definitely getting some thunderstorms as we speak. Some afternoon thunderstorms definitely affecting portions of Cuba, section of Haiti and Dominican Republic today. Even section of Puerto Rico got in some the action. And we can see the clouds associated with the trough definitely pushing from east to west across the Caribbean. That's definitely going to be causing some rainfall tomorrow. Clouds associated with the tropical wave right here as well. If we take a look at the Doppler radar images of the northeastern Caribbean, just to show what took place across especially Puerto Rico today, we can definitely see that if we put these Doppler radar images into motion, starting from about 1:20 p.m. today, we can see that there wasn't much taking place at all. That could be because the Puerto Rican radar was done, because I definitely saw some thunderstorms on the satellite images. There we have it starting to show up. So definitely some rainfall right there, especially across western Puerto Rico, going in between the Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico. Some rainfall right there to the south of there. And as of the latest images, we do see some isolated green spots, some isolated shores right there to the east of the Leeward Islands. Some rainfall right there affecting portions of the US Virgin Islands and to the waters to the south of there. If we take a look at the Barbados radar, we don't see much happening right now across Barbados, just some sprinkles coming in across the northern portion of the island. You can also see some rainfall right there to the south of there, possibly going to be affecting portions of Trinidad and Tobago later on tonight. You can also see some rainfall right there to the west and north of Barbados, about to affect sections of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, sections of Martinique, sections of St. Lucia might get in on some of the action as well, not to mention sections of Dominica. If we take a look at the wider view of Doppler radar images, we can see that rainfall that's affecting portions of Nicaragua as we speak. Northern Guatemala definitely getting in on the rainfall too. You can also see some rainfall across sections of southern Cuba, western Florida, section of northern Venezuela, and even sections of French Guyana. And as it relates to the accumulated precipitation forecast maps from now up until 10 p.m. on Thursday, we can definitely see where it's going to be raining from now within the next 24 hours. And we see the greens and the yellows that represent some isolated showers here and there, but the reds are where we're going to be experiencing the most in the way of rainfall, up to an inch of rainfall. And we definitely see that in store for sections of the Bahamas, sections of Florida, the Cayman Islands, Jamaica, Haiti, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico. We can also see more rainfall for the Windward Islands than for the Leeward Islands, especially considering that there's a lot of dust up there. So anywhere from Grenada southward, sections of Trinidad and Tobago, Guyana, Suriname, French Guyana, sections of Venezuela, Colombia, Panama, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, Belize, Honduras, Guatemala, El Salvador, and we see that both the Euro and the GFS malls are in consensus with this forecast, and we even see some isolated showers for sections of the Cayman Islands as well. So know that when they're in consensus like this, the chances of it actually happening are much higher. Alright, so that's it for today. Thanks for watching.